We're going to be covering all things adductor muscles in today's video. We're going to be going to how to train your groin, making it strong to improve your athletic performance and also prevent injury to avoid that pesky groin strain. We're going to be going through exercises, mobility, stretching, and the basic anatomy. You have three primary adductor muscles that make up your groin. You have your adductor longus that goes from your knee to your pubic bone. Then you have your adductor brevis, brevis being short, which is from mid-thigh down towards your pubic bone. And then you have your adductor magnus, which actually has two components and is arguably one of the more important parts of all kind of hip hinging and knee stability. One component is again from the femur to your pubic bone on the inside, and then it has a hamstring component which is on the back of the leg, which helps with hip hinging and deadlifts. So we're really going to be covering the adductor magnus in today's video as well to see how it influences all our other main components of lifting and our athletic performance. Now, just basic function of the adductor muscles is to adduct, so adding your leg to the midline of your body. So if you cut yourself in half and your leg is away, it's bringing it in together. The adductor magnus has an additional component which has hip extension. So bringing your thigh backwards, which also is relative hip hinging, so helping with the hinge motion. So when we talk about how to warm up these muscles, how to train your groin effectively with some good strengthening exercises, and then the stretching. The first adductor warm-up I like to do is the frog pose. So I'm basically wide on my elbows and I'm sinking back. Feel that stretch of my inner thigh and groin and forward. I'm making sure to do this for repetitions because I want to warm up the joint and I want to also warm up the muscles as well. So I'm making this a movement rather than a static stretch. Again, I'm just kind of sinking back into it and then coming forward. As I start to warm up, I can kind of spread my legs a little bit further apart to get a little bit of that end range groin stretch. And as I come back, getting that end range hip flexion. I like to do one set, sometimes two sets, depending on the day, but I'm trying to target for 20 to 30 repetitions total. The next adductor specific one I like to do is wide lateral lunges or wide side to side lunges. I'm standing pretty far apart from this one and I'm coming down to each side. I'm centering my weight over the stance leg that I'm going to, keeping my knees in a good alignment, but I'm feeling that groin stretch on the inside because I'm in a wide position. So just try to just get that mobility and a little bit of that strength through range as I'm sinking into that sort of lateral lunge position, getting the adductors used to what the work's going to be like for today. This is really helpful for anyone that does a lot of lateral movements like in basketball or hockey or soccer as you get them long and strong here. Now the first exercise I like to do to train the adductors is a sliding lunge. So I'm keeping my body weight centered on my stance leg. And what I'm doing is I'm sliding my leg out to the side. Now this is a really good weight bearing exercise for this leg, but to train the adductor, what I'm doing is I'm pushing it into the ground, trying to drag it as I come back up. And then I slide back out to the side, and now I'm pushing it down into the ground. So I can really feel my adductor muscles as I'm sliding into the floor. So really, you can make this exercise as challenging as you want because it's all dependent on how hard you can push down into the floor and slide your leg back. Now, I'm demonstrating with socks on because it's easy on a hardwood floor just to do it with socks. But you can also just do it with sliders or a towel if you have shoes on the carpet. Really good home exercise. So again, I'm just pushing down, sliding my leg in, trying to do 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps. If you want to make it more difficult, what you can do is anchor a band on a squat rack or any table leg, step away so there's lots of tension. Now I'm controlling the eccentric, the lengthening, and now I'm pulling it back in against an external resistance. So not only do I have the down force, I have the lateral force of the band as well. Same kind of sets and reps, but I'm really trying to make sure I emphasize that single leg loading on one, because I'm trying to practice good hip hinging mechanics and really get that adductor doing some work here. Here we're going to go through some side plank variations to be really adductor specific. What we're going to do is we're going to have one leg supported on the bench in a bent knee position just to make it a bit easier on the knee joint. Then we're going to be hip stacked, one leg straight out, and we're in a side plank. The first exercise is just practicing how long can you hold this. I usually tell people to start from like 2 to 3 sets of 15 seconds and work all the way up to 30 to 45 seconds depending on your goal and your sport. If you're an endurance athlete, go for more time. If you're a power-based athlete, you want to make more load in a shorter period of time. So this is the first one, just doing this side plank position. Now the progressive variation of this one is the Copenhagen plank. So we're going to be in that same position. So I'm going to be up here with my knee supported on the bench 90 degrees. So it's really fun on my knee. It doesn't cause so much pain. And I'm going to allow a drop and then I'm coming up. So I'm letting my hips hinge and then I'm pushing into the bench with my thigh to pull myself up. People like to lift with their back here or arch their core to try and get that to do the work, but it really is my knee pushing down right now to pull myself back up. So I'm hip stacked in this position, allowing my hips to come down, and I'm pushing my right thigh into the bench to pull myself up, controlling a nice eccentric movement, pushing back up. For this one, I like to do 2 to 3 sets, 8 to 12 reps, really emphasizing that inner thigh. No surprise, but the stretch to cool down is just doing the frog pose and just holding it this time. Make sure you're not sitting forward, but you sit back into it because then you'll get a bit more of a stretch. Another common one you can do is the butterfly one, just trying to get your knees to touch the floor. Now coming back to the specifics of the adductor magnus again, it has that one component which is adduction, just like the other adductor muscles, but it also has the hip extension component, which is a hamstring component. So it does help with this hinging motion, which we see often in our RDLs or in our deadlifts. So we want to make sure that we have our adductors strong because the adductor magnus is a key player in that hip hinging motion. So if you're finding yourself plateaued with any RDLs or deadlifts, you might want to consider training your adductors more. So there we have what your groin muscles are, your adductor magnus, longus, and brevis, the function of them, how to warm them up, how to strength train them, and what to do to stretch them and why it's so important. I try to train my adductors specifically once or twice a week just to give them that extra TLC to make sure we can prevent groin strains and groin pulls. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and leave a comment below of something that you'd be interested to see next. Tune in next time.